Gentlemen, the recipients of the 2005 IEEE Medals and Awards, escorted by the 2005 President and CEO of IEEE and President-elect of IEEE. Ladies and gentlemen, as this year's honorees proceed to their seats, please welcome President and CEO of IEEE, W. Cleon Anderson.
Good evening, and thank you for your kind reception. Welcome to the 2005 IEEE Honors Ceremony. Sharing the podium with me tonight is our President-elect, Michael Leitner.
Thank you, Cleon. I'm delighted to be here to share this occasion with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chantilly, Virginia. We're pleased to be here in the IEEE Northern Virginia section, which boasts of more than 28 years of providing professional development, networking opportunities, employment assistance, and other member services to our members, as well as educational outreach to the community. With about 5,600 members, the section supports the operation of 26 technical society chapters, 2 student branches, and 4 affinity groups. Here with us tonight are the section officers of the Northern Virginia and Washington section. Please welcome Murthy Palvarapu, Chair of the Northern Virginia section. Michael Cardinelli, Vice Chair of the Northern Virginia section. Chuck Saisung, Secretary of the Northern Virginia section, and Syed Ahmed, Treasurer of the Northern Virginia section, and Dr. Kiki Kosi, Treasurer of the Washington section. I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank those organizations who have contributed to tonight's events and recognize their representatives who are with us this evening. DECA Research and Development Corporation, the IEEE Foundation, the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, and Princeton University. Also in attendance are Mr. Tom Robbins of National Instruments Foundation, one of the sponsors of the IEEE James H. Mulligan Jr. Medal, and Dr. Zhong Kim, President of Lucent Technologies Bell Labs and the sponsor of the IEEE Alexander Graham Bell Medal. Now, before we begin our program, I would like to say a few words about tonight's theme, enabling careers in technology. To effectively enable careers in technology, the first thing that we have to do is to get people to think differently about engineering. To non-engineers, and even to many within the engineering community, engineering is perceived as a cold an impersonal profession, and its practitioners as more interested in things than people. However, we are not only scientists, but artists too. And the environment in which we create is not sterile, but vibrant and alive. Engineering practice is a form of art, an art form. This is not to say that an engineer is necessarily like Picasso or Monet. Picasso and Monet created paintings and sculptures that have been admired for many generations the world over. Thousands have flocked to see their work. Many are deeply moved by it. A select few of us can claim to own a Picasso or some other painting of note. An engineer, on the other hand, creates things that advance prosperity, things that can be used, things that may improve a person's life immediately and at the same time raise the standard of living worldwide. Engineering is a type of art that makes the world a better place for everybody in real terms and in tangible ways. And we need to get that message out. Young people who are anxious about pursuing a career in engineering must understand that engineering is a field of unlimited possibilities. They need to know that engineering artistry is essential to life as we know it and as we will know it in the future. Indeed, they need to know that an engineer is an artist who uses science for his brush and the needs of the people for his palette. Now, there is a crucial distinction that needs to be made here. Most artists of the brush and canvas work and create alone. They may cite influences or share techniques, but in the end, they create alone. Engineers, on the other hand, generally interact with many others on a given project, and they will credit fellow engineers on their project team, both past and present, for specific contributions to their work. An engineer will benefit from the artistry of many other engineers. So engineering really is a collaborative art. The IEEE facilitates this collaborative art. The IEEE brings together our Picassos, our Monets, and our Rembrandts. And we have thousands of them. And the IEEE is where they come to compare techniques, colors, and canvases. So we have three tasks. First, we must let the world know that we are here and that what we do is beautiful. Our art may often go unnoted, must maybe go uncredited, but it is there. It is there making our telephone exchange more like a face-to-face meeting, making computers run faster, making our music sound better, making our medicines safer, making our air cleaner, making our food more plentiful, and making our lights shine brighter. Truly, engineering is the art that quietly creates a better tomorrow. And tonight, we are recognizing that art and those artists who by their creations have become preeminent engineers, noble and worthy of this recognition. Second, if young students are to become the engineers of tomorrow, we need to reach out to them. We must introduce the idea of engineering as an art into the vocabulary of these high school and pre-high school students. We must encourage young students, girls as well as boys, to pursue engineering and its underlying foundations of math, physics, and science. Encourage them early in life to make their career decision to enter some discipline of engineering. And we want to enable their careers in technology. Third, we need to continue to grow and improve IEEE. We want to improve IEEE as a network for our artists. And we need to put some care and craft into that task, the same as we put into our primary work. We need to do this because the IEEE can enable and make friendly the workplace into which these young professionals will emerge and be recognized after they complete the first stage of their academic education. Yet, there is perhaps another more important reason for us to keep our eyes on the prize of building a stronger, better, and more versatile IEEE. It is only through fostering technological innovation that we can maintain today's standard of living and provide access to that standard worldwide. Together, we can and do advance global prosperity. Together, we can and do enable our members' careers, and together we will promote and build community worldwide. The IEEE is our home. It is a home from where we, as engineers, can drive technological innovation. And for those who practice the noble art of engineering, IEEE is that home from where we can enable their careers in technology. And together we will.
Thank you very much, Cleon. Before we present the IEEE medals and awards, we will begin with the eminent member recognition by Eta Kappa Nu. Eta Kappa Nu, the Scholastic Honor Society for Electrical Engineers, is celebrating its centennial year. We are pleased to have Eric Herz and David Irwin, its past president and vice president, respectively, with us tonight to conduct the presentations.
We lose the screen.
I'm here. Thank you, Mike. Eta Kappa Nu's rank of eminent member is the Society's highest membership classification. It is conferred upon those select few technical attainments and contributions to society through leadership in the field of electrical and computer engineering have resulted in significant benefits to mankind. The eminent member recognition dates back to 1950, when the first three honorees were inducted. They were Vannevar Bush, Royal Sorensen, and Lee DeForest, and Vladimir Sworkin. Lee DeForest and Fred Terman were also early recipients of that honor. More recently, Charles Towns and Bill Hewlett were inducted. And earlier this year, Dr. Joseph Bodonia of the National Science Foundation and past president of the IEEE was inducted at the Eta Kappa Nu Spring Banquet. In all, over the 56-year history of the recognition, some 100 eminent members have been named, 4 of whom were winners of the Nobel Prize. All have achieved eminence through their leadership in technical developments, corporate management, government, education, or professional society activities. Their accomplishments made them role models in the profession or in technology at the national and international level. Incidentally, we would like to thank IEEE for its role in publishing the book Profiles in Engineering Leadership, which chronicles the accomplishments of those eminent members elected during our first century. It was produced by the IEEE History Center and published with the support of the IEEE Foundation. Tonight, as we look ahead to our second century, we induct two new eminent members. Dave Irvin, Vice President of Eta Kappa Nu, will do the honors.
Let's go the other way. The other thing right there. Thank you, Eric. Dr. Garrick, may I invite you to step forward, please. On behalf of the chapters, the elected membership of Eta Kappa Nu, and the respected profession of electrical and computer engineering, it is my privilege to officially welcome you as an eminent member of Eta Kappa Nu. Your accomplishments epitomize the objectives of our organization and its members. Owen Garrett is known to electrical engineers as the first EE in space. He earned his MS and PhD in electrical engineering from Stanford, where he became a professor of electrical engineering. He was one of the first 6 scientist astronauts selected by NASA. His first space flight aboard Skylab in 1973 set a new world record for duration, 60 days, more than double the previous record. His second flight aboard Spacelab 1 involved numerous experiments in several different disciplines. Dr. Garriott later served as Director of Science and Applications at Johnson Space Center and was the Vice President of Space Programs at Teledyne Brown Engineering. He is a Fellow of the American Astronautical Society, and among his many honors are the Goddard Memorial Trophy, the NASA Space Flight Medal, and election to the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame. By virtue of the authority vested in me as a National Vice President, I now declare you to be duly honored as an eminent member of Eta Kappa Nu and provide you with a certificate attesting to your membership in this exclusive group. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present and commend to you Owen Garriott. Real pleasure, baby. I'm just delighted for you, okay? Want to take that picture?
Well, many thanks to your program committee and for these very kind words that you have just mentioned about my past career. When I glanced down the list of the prior recipients of this award of being an eminent member, it is a very impressive list, as you have already heard some words about. I'm struck at least in 2 ways by this list. First of all, by the magnitude of the accomplishments of the so many individuals that have been listed in the past 50 years, and also by the breadth of their accomplishments in so many different areas, not only in electrical engineering and power engineering, but in physics, chemistry, education, business, management, and certainly in the development of new concepts entirely that had not been thought of before. Now, I believe personally that this is true, much to echo some of the words that were mentioned just a few moments ago, because electrical and computer engineering lends itself to the general breadth and multidisciplinary roles that are required to operate successfully in all of these many areas. for me, it's been very helpful when I glance back over the last 50 or 60 years of my career to see all the different kinds of help that have been provided to me in reaching the objectives that I have been able to obtain. Starting all the way back, for example, in the 3rd grade, where my teacher at that time provided us with an orrery, which is a word that I had no idea what meant when I was at that age. It was some decades later before I understood that it was this device that represented the entire solar system, and that by turning a crank, you could see all of the planets move around the sun. Or perhaps it was my father in junior high when we worked together to reach and to attain the level of an amateur radio operator, a ham operator, as I suspect many of you are also. Or perhaps at the university level when I worked in the radio propagation laboratory as a graduate student first, working with a whole host of amateur radio operators. These are the kinds of things that enable one to move through the general background areas that most electrical engineers have, but yet provide them with the experience that is necessary to operate in a very wide variety of disciplines. I rather think that the electrical engineering background is the best multidisciplinary education that a person can receive, and I've recommended it not only to many students, but even to my own children, 4 of whom have electrical engineering degrees. You mentioned just a little bit ago the comparison that one might make about engineering being an art form, with which I fully agree. My favorite artist, however, I think would be Leonardo da Vinci, who actually was the centerpiece of our crew patch on our Skylab mission, showing, of course, the form of man, because Leonardo represented not only an engineer, which he was, also a life scientist, which he was, also a great painter, perhaps the last man on earth to fully know essentially all there was to be known about the knowledge bases throughout the world. So in the last 500 years, the knowledge base has grown so much, no one else, I think, has been able to achieve that claim that Leonardo had. But he'd be my favorite artist, I think, in order to compare him with what our electrical engineering education hopefully can provide us with. So I want to leave that final message with you, that if we have a direction for our careers to aspire, and in the direction of an artist, Leonardo is perhaps one of the finest examples that we could have. And thank you very much once again for this very fine honor that you've bestowed upon me this evening.
Dr. Gordon, may I invite you to step forward, please. On behalf of the chapters, the elected membership of Eta Kappa Nu, and the respected profession of electrical and computer engineering, it is my privilege to officially welcome you as an eminent member of Eta Kappa Nu. Your accomplishments epitomize the objectives of our organization and its members. Bernard Gordon is the founder and emeritus chairman of Analogic Corporation. He is often called the father of modern analog to digital conversion. He is currently chairman of Neurological Corporation, a company that specializes in advanced brain imaging. He is a member of the National Academy of Engineering, an IEEE Fellow, and the recipient of the National Medal of Technology. His technical accomplishments range from contributions to the development of the UNIVAC, to the first alphanumeric dot matrix display, and to scanning devices that have become the central core of contemporary medical imaging and counterterrorism technology. Dr. Gordon's concern for the development of engineering leaders led to his establishment of the Gordon Institute, now part of Tufts University. He is a trustee of Tufts and chairman of the board of the Leahy Clinic. We are extremely pleased to induct Dr. Gordon as an eminent member of Eta Kappa Nu, and therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as National Vice President, I now declare you a duly honored and eminent member of Eta Kappa Nu and provide you with a certificate attesting to your membership in this exclusive group. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present and commend to you Bernard Gordon.
First of all, I would like to say that
the management here allotted me 60 to 90 seconds, so I will not disappoint you. I'd like to express, of course, my appreciation for the honor bestowed upon me by Eta Kappa Nu. I have, in fact, been a member of the IEEE even before there was an IEEE, since there was an Institute of Radio Engineers that became part of the IEEE, and I've been a member for 59 years. So that may make me the oldest member of the IEEE here present. I think the only serious comment I'd like to make, engineering education having become sort of a subject of great interest to me, that it is one thing to have artists with different capabilities, but you need leaders to bring those artists together to bring about competitive products, particularly when there's complex competitive products. And I have a great fear of what is happening in many of our educational institutions, contrary to what Mr. Anderson stated should be the goal of our society. Just last week, the dean of a leading educational institution said to me that they did not really intend that most of their engineering graduates be engineers. It would be a nice thing if young people, she said, would get an engineering education. It would help them out in their other future careers because there was no need. And I am not joking here. It was stated by the dean of this school to have more engineers in the United States because engineering work could be done much cheaper overseas in the Far East. And this scared the hell out of me. And I'd like to leave you just with that negative thought. And again, thank you for the honor.
Congratulations, Dr. Gordon and Dr. Garriott. Each year, the IEEE Board of Directors elects a limited number of senior members to the grade of IEEE Fellow, a title that recognizes unique distinction in the profession and is conferred upon an individual with an extraordinary record of accomplishments in any of the IEEE's fields of interest. The IEEE Fellows are an elite assembly. The number elected in any given year may not exceed 0.1% of the voting membership of the IEEE. 268 senior members were elevated to IEEE Fellow status this year, 24 of them from Region 2. They will be honored at numerous IEEE conferences and meetings throughout the year. 4 of them are with us this evening.
The 268 new IEEE Fellows and their citations are listed alphabetically on pages 20 through 25 of your awards booklet. I will read the names of the new Fellows who are with us here tonight. As I do, I ask each new Fellow to rise and remain standing until all the names are called. Please hold your applause until all the new Fellows in our audience have been announced. Dr. Robert T.H. Alden, Dr. Joseph R. Gersey, Professor John Mengailis, Dr. Paul Werbos. Congratulations on your accomplishments, fellows. And if you could remain standing, please. In our audience are also IEEE Fellows who have been elected in previous years, and I'd like to ask them to please stand as well. Please join me in saluting these leaders of our profession.
Thank you very much, Cleon. I'd like to take a moment now to explain how the awards process works. The IEEE Awards Board administers 8 categories of awards, all bestowed by the IEEE Board of Directors. These include honorary memberships, corporate recognitions, service awards, prize papers, scholarships, technical field awards, IEEE medals, and the IEEE Medal of Honor, our highest award. The awards typically consist of a gold or bronze medal, certificate, and honoraria. Some are funded by the IEEE Foundation or IEEE organizational units, others by industry or individuals. For each award, an independent selection committee conducts a rigorous evaluation of all nominations. The committee submits its recommendations to the awards board for endorsement, with final approval granted by the IEEE Board of Directors.
Thank you, Mike. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all of you to nominate candidates for IEEE awards. On page 27 in your program booklet is a potential nominee form that is used to stimulate nominations for IEEE medals and awards. By completing and submitting this form, a deserving individual could be one step closer to being recognized for his or her extraordinary accomplishment. Dr. Dove Jaron, the 2005 Awards Board Chair, is here tonight. Dove? On behalf of Dr. Jaron and the entire IEEE Awards Board and its committees, I would like to thank everyone who participated in this year's selection process and tell you how proud we are to acknowledge the achievements of the 2005 recipients.
Every year, the IEEE honors exemplary contributions by an industrial entity, governmental or academic organization, or other corporate body that have resulted in major advancement of electrotechnology. Please note that the award you see pictured on the video screen, the Lalique Crystal, is the one that the honorees receive. Due to the fragile nature of the piece, they are shipped directly to the honorees.
The first of 2 recipients of the 2005 IEEE Corporate Innovation Recognition is Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated of Sunnyvale, California. AMD receives the award for innovations in the evolution of the x86 microprocessor, and it's, by extension, to a 64-bit architecture.
Advanced Micro Devices' AMD 64 platform has provided a superior computing experience, impacting every strata of the market, from everyday consumers to the very largest enterprise. More than 1,000 partners currently offer products based on the AMD 64 platform, including Computer Associates, Crytek, EPIC, IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, Red Hat, and Sun.
In just over a year, the 64-bit AMD Opteron processor became the premier solution in high-performance computing. A 64-bit workstation provides computing bandwidth large enough to allow professionals in many industries to create, display, and analyze complex data sets and designs. Despite its status as a leader in technological innovation, AMD is against technology for technology's sake. AMD's current CEO, Hector Ruiz, states, "Customer-centric innovation is the preeminent value at AMD. It is our reason for being and our strategy for success." It is for this commitment to its customers, as well as its market-changing advances, that AMD receives a 2005 IEEE Corporate Innovation Recognition. Please welcome AMD's Business Development Executive, Mr. Rick Indike, to the stage to receive the award. Mr. Indike.
It is my honor to accept this award on behalf of AMD and the countless engineers, designers, and other team members who have worked to make AMD 64 the technology of choice for 32-bit and 64-bit computing, and now multi-processing. Since its origins, IEEE has been a catalyst for technological innovation. In that tradition, AMD continues to pioneer innovation and in the computing industry, evolving industry standards from brute force megahertz to architectural elegance that delivers breakthrough performance. Thank you very much.
The recipient of the second 2005 IEEE Corporate Innovation Recognition is NTT Docomo Incorporated of Tokyo, Japan, for innovations in the planning, development, and deployment of iMode, and for being an international leader in mobile internet service.
iMode transformed the internet and email from PC-based services to a mobile phone-based service, allowing people who had historically been detached from the PC, students, homemakers, and the elderly, to reap the benefits of internet connectivity. NTT Docomo currently serves more than 49 million customers, more than any other mobile communications company.
With iMode, NTT Docomo created a new culture of text-based communications. Says one fan and industry insider, NTT Docomo virtually established the genre of mobile internet services and at the same time created a new business model from which users, operators, manufacturers, and content providers can continuously benefit. As we speak, iMode is evolving still, incorporating new technologies such as Java, Flash, and contactless integrated circuit cards in everyday mobile phone technology. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Nobuharu Ono to the stage for NTT Docomo to receive the IEEE Corporate Innovation Recognition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Leitner, for kind introduction. NTT Docomo introduced the iMode service 6 years ago, and the customers of iMode grew up to over 44 million. That is 90% of our whole customers are using iMode service for exchanging email or access to website. Through iMode or alliance partnership, even in outside Japan, iMode is available, or in 9 countries outside Japan. 4 years ago, NTT Docomo introduced 3G service, third generation wireless service. And we have right now more than 13 million subscribers. They are enjoying higher wireless communication service up to 384 kilobit. And last year, we embedded non-contact IC chip in handset. So it turned handset to mobile wallet. In this way, iMode is still evolving. So once again, thank you very much for the recognition as an innovator to NTT Docomo and iMode. It's a wonderful honor. Thank you very much.
And now we present the IEEE Service Awards. The IEEE Richard M. Emberson Award was established in 1986 to recognize distinguished service to the development, viability, advancement, and pursuit of technical objectives of IEEE. Sponsored by the IEEE Technical Activities Board, it is named in honor of Dr. Richard M. Emberson, a highly revered and former IEEE staff and volunteer leader. The recipient of the 2005 Richard M. Emberson Award is Dr. Lloyd A. Morley. We know him as Pete. He is Professor of Electrical Engineering at the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, and he receives the award for outstanding and visionary leadership of the Institute's technical and publications activities during times of great change and for contributions to the effectiveness of operations.
Dr. Morley, a fellow of the IEEE, has been an active IEEE volunteer for over 3 decades, serving as president of the Industry Applications Society, IEEE Division II Director, Vice President of Technical Activities, and Vice President of Publication Activities. Currently, he is working on the streamlining of the IEEE's publication policies documentation.
The IEEE is a vast organization with more than 365,000 members in over 150 countries. Our lifeblood is the exchange of ideas, and we exchange those ideas via our numerous publications. Dr. Morley has played a principal role in making an orderly exchange out of one that can easily become chaotic. In the awards booklet, you can read about the many specific contributions Pete has made to the wide world of publications. Right now, I want to concentrate on the man. Says one IEEE fellow, Pete is a volunteer leader in the best tradition. He cultivates and encourages junior people and listens to their ideas and suggestions. He provides encouragement and resources to ensure that others have the opportunity to develop and implement their own ideas. In support of his nomination, another colleague writes, Pete's service to the Institute is characterized by its length, devotion, and usefulness. There are few, if any, who better epitomize the intentions of those who created the Emberson Award than Pete Morley. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring the 2005 recipient of the IEEE Richard M. Emberson Award, Pete Morley.
I've been told if I leave this up here, they're going to keep it, so I've got to be careful. I'll try to take the 1.5, but I've heard it might be as long as 2 minutes to express a lot of thanks I have to a lot of people. First, thanks to Cleone and Mike for their leadership, not only this year, but in previous years. It goes back quite a ways. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to also extend my thanks to Ken Laker for nominating me and to all the referees who supported my nomination. The first time I've heard some of these comments, and it's quite humbled me. I'd also like to thank the Service Awards Committee, the Awards Board, and especially the IEEE Board of Directors for selecting me, and my sincerest gratitude to the IEEE Technical Activities Board for sponsoring this award. As I mentioned before, I'm humbled, but I'm singularly honored for this honor. And in the aspect of the humbleness, these accomplishments to which I've participated, some of which I've guided, really and likely could not have been happen or occurred without the encouragement early in my professional career of my sister and brother-in-law who are sitting in the audience here, Bonnie and Lori McMorris, for the volunteering opportunities that were provided me really early in my IEEE career by the IEEE Industry Application Society, particularly augmented by a very dear friend of mine, Dick Nichols, who mentored me through several years. These opportunities grew after IAS, and you've heard about some of them tonight. My activities clearly would not have occurred without something else, and that's the devoted support and love from my domestic engineer, Joanne, and my electrical engineering son, Paul. Thanks so much. All 5 of these people are sitting at the table with me, particularly Joanne. You all have my deepest appreciation, admiration, and love. I'd like to mention something else before I relieve this podium. I'm also humbled because these accomplishments also belong to all of the IEEE staff members, all of the IEEE volunteers who worked with me over all these years. I've had a pleasure to work with, basically, I should say that this award is really also shared by all these individuals. It's obviously impossible to name even a small fraction of the people that I've worked with and who have helped me. I really know that Cleone and Mike have hooks up here, so if I go too far, they're going to pull me off the stage. So I'm going to do something else. There's a lot of IEEE staff members in this audience tonight. There's also a lot of IEEE volunteers. In one way or another, each of you, as well as the many, many IEEE volunteers that I've been associated with that can't be here tonight for one reason or another, all of you have positively affected me and what I've done in IEEE. And so I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the help you've given me all over these years and the pleasure that I've had working with you all. Thanks. This is
The second service award is given in honor of Haraden Pratt, who served for more than 3 decades as a member of the IEEE Board of Directors. Established in 1971 and sponsored by the IEEE Foundation, the IEEE Haraden Pratt Award recognizes outstanding service to the IEEE, and the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Haraden Pratt Award is Mr. Daniel R. Benigni, Senior Analyst at the National Institute of Standards and Technology in Gaithersburg, Maryland. He receives the award for sustained leadership on Institute major boards and committees, including transforming the regional activities, the IEEE USA, and standards activities into their current organizations.
Mr. Benigni has been a member of most major IEEE boards, including the Board of Directors and Executive Committee, Regional Activities, U.S. Activities Board, Educational Activities, Publication Services and Products Board, and the IEEE Standards Association Board of Governors. Currently, he is a member of the IEEE's Finance and Nominations and Appointments Committees.
The past 10 years at IEEE have been heavy with change. Dan has played a key role in guiding us through that change and into the 21st century. He was involved in the transformation of the U.S. Activities Board into IEEE USA, helping to write the bylaws that established the new organization and presiding over its first elections. Dan led the United States Activities Board as its last chairman. Dan's colleagues are quick to interject that his leadership is passionate and his enthusiasm contagious. Says one former IEEE president, Dan promotes and inspires leadership qualities in all those he meets. He acted in the capacity of a selfless leader to motivate me to succeed. Tonight, we thank him for helping our organization to succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Haraden Pratt Award, Dan Benigni.
Well, thanks for everything. It's a wonderful distinction. As I look out over this audience tonight, I see many of the people I need to thank for this very wonderful distinction. I see friends and colleagues. I see fellow volunteers and dedicated staff with whom I have worked and with whom I continue to work. For me, this award is really the result of many group efforts that includes all of you. They just happened to single me out this evening. There are also two gentlemen who are not with us any longer, but who were my local IEEE volunteer mentors. I should like to thank them as well. Some of you may even recognize their names, Tom Deppner and Jim Struther. To me, they were both quintessential IEEE volunteers. They instilled in me by their examples what volunteerism is all about, that it's a privilege and a duty to give back to the profession that has given all of us fulfilling and rewarding careers, that providing service to IEEE members is what it's all about, that it's important to find, nurture, and mentor the future volunteer leaders of the Institute, and that it is the job of all of us volunteers to make sure that the Institute endures for future generations of members and for the larger benefit of society as a whole. They lived it, and I miss them, and I miss their wise counsel. Finally, being a volunteer doesn't come completely without a price. I've missed a lot of weekends over the past 25 years by being an IEEE volunteer who doesn't seem to know how to say no. So to my mother Gertrude, who is with us here this evening, to my son Dan and his wife Melody, who's home with our grandbabies, to my son David and his lovely wife Cecily, and most especially to my wife of 36 years, Maureen, I say thank you. Thank you all.
This year, we have elected one new life honorary member. The IEEE honorary membership recognizes individuals who are not members of the IEEE, but who have rendered meritorious service to humanity in IEEE's designated field of interest. This grade of membership is awarded for life. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE honorary membership is Mr. Dean Kamen, President, DECA Research and Development Corporation in Manchester, New Hampshire, who receives the award for innovative numerous medical devices, thereby improving the quality of life for many, and for inspiring youth to an heightened interest in engineering through imaginative competitions.
Mr. Kamen's notable inventions include the Home Choice Portable Dialysis Machine, the Independence iBot 3000 mobility system, a sophisticated mobility aid capable of climbing stairs, navigating rough terrain, and raising the user to eye level with a standing person, and the world-famous Segway human transporter. In 1989, Mr. Kamen also founded FIRST, for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology, an organization dedicated to motivating future generations to understand, use, and enjoy science and technology.
So many of our accolades tonight focus on how engineering has improved traffic on the information highway. Mr. Kamen is being honored tonight for his dedication to helping people get around in the real world. Thanks to Mr. Kamen, dialysis is no longer impossibly inconvenient. His Independence iBot 3000 mobility system gives unprecedented mobility, including stair climbing, to people who are either temporarily or permanently physically disabled. And the Segway? Well, the Segway is just cool. Dean has also dedicated many of his professional hours to the engineers of tomorrow, focusing on enabling careers in technology. In 1989, he created the extraordinary FIRST organization to keep young people engaged in the evolution of technology. FIRST runs an annual robotics competition in which teams of students design, assemble, and test a robot capable of performing a specific task in competition with other teams. FIRST also sponsors the FIRST LEGO League and FIRST Place, an innovative science and technology center that features a hands-on children's science museum. FIRST programs are proliferating in the United States and Canada and are beginning to catch on internationally. IEEE is proud to be a technical co-sponsor of FIRST and will continue to connect our volunteers with FIRST teams and to promote this worthwhile competition. They say Dean Kamen has dedicated his life to developing technologies that help people lead better lives. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Dean Kamen to accept his IEEE honorary membership. Congratulations.
First, I would like to thank all the people, probably I don't know who they are, that helped to make this happen. I didn't think you could become a member of IEEE without being a double E. I am not, although I tend to play one in front of my clients and customers from time to time, but I will work hard to earn your respect. I guess since I also only have a couple of minutes, I'd like to make a couple of observations. The opening remarks by your outgoing president were extraordinary. His call to action, particularly to get more young people, particularly women and minorities, involved in science and engineering is critical, and it's nice to know that the largest group of professional engineers that are in one society on this planet, the IEEE, are focusing and have somebody with that kind of passion. I hope the incoming management is up to the task. The other, I thought, interesting remark you heard was from Dr. Gordon, who said he was going to give you a disturbing fact. That's not even close to as disturbing as the typical things I hear from people, some within the engineering and technical community. There is a congressman who was going to vote against the new NASA budget, which, for instance, was going to put more weather satellites up, and he said, why do we need weather satellites? We've already got the Weather Channel. There is no shortage of need to educate the people outside this community. I was going to then try to thank the people within IEEE that have been involved with and have helped FIRST already, including IEEE as a whole, with whom we signed a memorandum of understanding a few years ago by which this organization has been promoting FIRST, which now has 1,000 teams and 5,800 middle school teams. But I asked for a list from the management of FIRST of those people and organizations directly related to IEEE that help us, and I was delivered a 4-page single-line list of individual mentors, companies, and organizations, and I realized I can't do that. So for those of you that are already involved and aware of FIRST, I do thank you. For those of you that aren't, I will give you now what I think is a much more disturbing statement to go away with than even what Dr. Gordon had to say. And that disturbing statement is this. I've been told by everybody I know, people I consider my friends, that whenever they get around me, they hear that sucking sound. that whether it's an employee, a friend, a client, a customer, anybody with whom I have an affiliation, I try to bring them in to helping to spread the word about the importance of science and technology and to get involved in FIRST to do so. Now that I am a member of this organization, you're all fair game. And so I will know who you are, I will know how to get to you, and I'll anticipate working hard along with you to do one of the most important things I think any professional organization does, which is to promote to the general public what we uniquely as professionals within a given area of expertise can do. And the world has never been in a position where it needs more of the rational thinking and the real problem-solving capability of the technical community. Thank you.
The IEEE James H. Mulligan Jr. Education Medal was established in 1956 to recognize the importance of educators in the field of engineering. It was renamed in 1999 to honor James H. Mulligan Jr., a highly esteemed educator, and the 1971 president of the IEEE. Each year, the medal is awarded for a career of outstanding contributions to engineering in the fields of interest of IEEE, and it is sponsored by the MathWorks Incorporated, National Instruments Foundation, Pearson Prentice Hall, and Xilinx Incorporated. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE James H. Mulligan Jr. Education Medal is Dr. H. Vincent Poor, the George Van Ness Lothrop Professor in Engineering at Princeton University. He receives the award for leadership in electrical engineering education through inspired teaching, a classic textbook, and innovative curricular development and research.
Author of more than 500 publications, Dr. H. Vincent Poor, together with his graduate students, has developed many of the key algorithms and theoretical results that underpin research and development in robust statistical signal processing, multi-user detection, and non-Gaussian signal processing today. His undergraduate course, The Wireless Revolution, is one of the largest and most diverse courses taught at Princeton.
Dr. Poor is one of the all-time top-rated teachers at both the University of Illinois and Princeton University. His classic textbook, An Introduction to Signal Detection and Estimation, remains the standard reference on digital communications and signal processing 14 years after its initial publication. But his work is ultimately not confined to the campus. Dr. Poor has, through his teaching, profoundly influenced the engineers, the policymakers, and the business leaders of tomorrow. In the words of one colleague supporting Dr. Poor's nomination for this award, Dr. Poor has made so many research contributions, it can be said that he has altered the fundamental contents of graduate education in the field of communication theory and its applications. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring Dr. H. Vincent Poor, the 2005 recipient of the IEEE James H. Mulligan Jr. Education Medal. Vince.
Good evening. Thank you, Mike and Cleon. You know, teaching is I see it says Dr. Poor remarks here, so I guess I'm not going to get the teleprompter tonight. But, you know, teaching is one of those activities, and working with students as well, that come with their own rewards. So to win an award for education is a bit redundant. That is, it's like getting paid twice for the same thing. But nevertheless, it's obviously a great honor to be receiving this award tonight, and I'm very grateful to both the IEEE and to those who nominated me. I've been very fortunate in my career to have taught at two outstanding educational institutions, the University of Illinois and Princeton, where I am now. And both of these institutions have really put a premium on good teaching, collegiality, and productive interaction with students. So more than anything, this award is a recognition of the many great students and colleagues that I've had the opportunity to work with at these institutions, many of whom are here tonight, and even Mike also is one of my former colleagues as well. So I'm very happy to take this opportunity to thank them and publicly, and to accept this award on their behalf. So thank you very much.
Established in 1904, the IEEE Edison Medal is the oldest major award of this institute. It was sponsored by the IEEE Technical Activities Board and the IEEE Edison Medal Fund. It recognizes a career of meritorious achievement in electrical science, electrical engineering, or the electrical arts. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE Edison Medal is Dr. Peter Lawrenson, professor and private consultant in Wetherby, West Yorks in the United Kingdom. He receives the award for outstanding contributions to the field of electrical machines, most notably the development and commercialization of switched reluctance drives.
Dr. Lawrenson's switched reluctance, or SR drive, has been called the most important piece of electrical drive technology in the last 100 years. SR drives operate entirely on magnetic attraction and power the electronically controlled drive systems used today throughout industry and in myriad products, from washing machines and power-assisted steering systems to jet fighters.
Known as the father of the SR drive, Peter's industry-altering concepts and innovations were initially dismissed by skeptics. But once his SR applications penetrated market sectors ranging from automotive, household, mining and textiles, to earth-moving equipment, industrial pumps, medical equipment, and high-performance servo systems, those skeptics magically disappeared. Says one of his colleagues, the ultimate testimony of the relevance of an engineer's life is in the use of his inventions in practical applications. Peter Lawrenson passes that test in many different ways and is thoroughly deserving of the IEEE's Edison Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the IEEE, please join me in honoring the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Edison Medal, Dr. Peter Lawrenson.
President, ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows the name of Thomas Edison, now vying, I understand, with the names of US presidents. Synonymous worldwide with invention and innovation, and described as bridging imagination and realization for human benefit, echoing some of your words this evening, President. My own very modest efforts have been intended similarly. So for me, the award of the Edison Medal is both a tremendous honor and a source of very great pride. President, I thank you, the Institute, and my peer nominees most sincerely for this recognition. My personal efforts, of course, have benefited greatly from cooperation with colleagues around the world, and not least from the USA. With apologies to others of them, I mention just one. At the very start of my career, Philip Alger, Eta Kappa Nu eminent member, I note, though I didn't know so at the time, invited me to his home in Schenectady. He was then the leading expert in the world on electrical machines. With an enormous gift of his time, he introduced me to the research laboratories, design offices, manufacturing facilities of the General Electric company there, and to education, architecture, and life of the city. And he gave me long-lasting encouragement and confidence in my work. President, I think of him and others now, and I thank the Institute again in accepting this very great honor. Thank you.
The IEEE Robert N. Noyce Medal was established to recognize exceptional contributions to the microelectronics industry. The award is named after Intel co-founder Robert N. Noyce, an innovator and leader who developed the technology that led to the microprocessor. The Intel Foundation sponsors this award, and the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Robert N. Noyce Medal is Mr. Wilfred J. Corrigan, chairman of LSI Logic Corporation in Milpitas, California. He receives the award for pioneering the modern-day gate array, the standard cell ASIC, as well as system-on-a-chip and platform ASIC markets, and for leadership in semiconductor business, technology, and industry cooperation.
A founding member of the Semiconductor Industry Association, Mr. Corrigan also pioneered the standard cell, ASIC, and system-on-a-chip markets. He was and continues to be a chief promoter of a global perspective on the semiconductor industry, playing a major role in establishing cooperation with semiconductor operations between the U.S., Europe, Asia, and Canada.
Dubbed by one of his fans a courageous leader, a skilled diplomat, and a sage advisor, Wilfred Corrigan is one of the living legends of the semiconductor industry. In addition to his pioneering work as an engineer, we laud him tonight for his dedication to the broader global issues impacting the health and growth of the semiconductor industry worldwide and the role of the U.S. within it. Wilfred played the key role in rescuing Fairchild Semiconductor from financial difficulties, and for his efforts, he was named its president and chief executive officer. Later, at LSI Logic, he, as one former colleague puts it, recognized the potential in developing application-specific integrated circuits and pioneered a new business model by utilizing the production capacity of larger manufacturers to gain substantial leverage from a comparatively low initial capital investment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring the 2005 recipient of the IEEE Robert N. Noyce Medal, another king of the wild technological frontier, Mr. Wilfred J. Corrigan.
Thank you. Thank the institution for this award tonight. The award is particularly significant to me because of the name on it. As a young engineer coming into the industry in 1960, making transistors in Wakefield, Massachusetts, using varnish and gold paste. The impact of Robert Noyce's two major inventions at that time was just beginning to impact the industry, which was the planar process and the metal over oxide concept, which fundamentally, once you had that, everything else followed very smoothly. So I got to know Bob very well when we formed the Semiconductor Industry Association, and is the one person in the industry that I would really focus on as being the real genesis of this $200 billion a year industry that we have today. During the 1970s, we had rapid evolution of MOS technology, the EDA, electronic design automation, and also cost of computing was coming down very rapidly. All these three things, in general, were following a parallel course and evolving in a separate sort of way. A group of people that became the genesis of LSI Logic, Jim Coford, and several other people. Jim is here tonight. Ed Jones, Rob Walker, put together an architecture that brought these three parallel streams together. And my contribution was to make a business proposition out of this. And what we've seen since then is the growth in an industry which is even broader than the ASIC industry, in those design technologies and methodologies that were put together at that time have really become the way in which we design integrated circuits of all types today. So thank you very much for the award, and thank you very much for letting me say a few words about Bob Noyce. So thank you.
Our next award is the IEEE Dennis J. Picard Medal for Radar Technologies and Applications, sponsored by the Raytheon Corporation. And the award recognizes outstanding accomplishments in advancing the field of radar technologies. The recipient of the 2005 Dennis J. Picard Medal is independent consultant Dr. William Caputi. He receives the award for conception and development of innovative range and Doppler bandwidth reduction techniques used in wideband radars and high-resolution synthetic aperture radars.
Much of his work was highly classified at the outset, initially precluding Dr. Caputi from being publicly recognized as the true radar genius that he is. His contributions are responsible for the high-resolution imagery collected by intelligence and reconnaissance imaging radars over the past 20 years and used so effectively in recent military conflicts. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Caputi could not be with us here tonight. Please join me in a round of applause in honor of Dr. William J. Caputi.
Thank you, Mike. The IEEE Jack S. Kilby Signal Processing Medal is named in honor of one innovator whose work has a monumental precursor to the development of the signal processor and digital signal processing. Sponsored by Texas Instruments Incorporated, the award recognizes outstanding achievements in signal processing. The recipient of the 2005 Jack S. Kilby Signal Processing Medal is Dr. Fumitada Itakura, a member of the Faculty of Science and Technology at Meiji University in Nagoya, Japan. He receives the award for pioneering contributions to narrowband speech coding.
For 30 years, Dr. Itakura has been the driving force behind speech and signal processing, and the impact of his work has reached far beyond speech coding. Dr. Itakura developed the linear predictive coding methods for speech analysis and synthesis, as well as its successors, such as the line spectrum pair speech representation and coding method, which is now used in nearly every digital cellular service.
Because they were so ahead of their time, Dr. Itakura's concepts in narrowband speech coding did not, at the outset, gain widespread contemporary recognition. Instead, technology needed to catch up with Dr. Itakura. When it did, in the late 1980s, his digital signal processing systems found a home, digital or cellular phones. But his ingenuity also flows through speech recognition, speaker recognition and verification, text-to-speech synthesis, and various forms of speech analysis. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Fumitada Itakura to the stage to receive the 2005 IEEE Jack S. Kilby Signal Processing Medal.
It is my great honor and pleasure to be here to receive the highly esteemed IEEE Jack S. Kilby Signal Processing Award. Receiving the medal is particularly glorious to me because, firstly, I know that many respectable people who have marked excellent achievement received the medal in the past. Secondly, I have just received the medal in the same IEEE honor ceremony at which Professor James Flanagan, my research mentor for more than 30 years, is going to receive the Medal of Honor from IEEE. Thirdly, I am the first recipient of the Jack Kilby Award from Japan. Also, I am very happy to remember about the Speak and Spell educational toy of Texas Instruments in 1978. It made my original idea on Parker lattice filter structure to be popular to the general public. Finally, I believe that research on speech processing should be continued not only to develop more efficient coding of speech, but also to discover the mystery of human intelligence of speech and language understanding. Thank you very much for the award.
Sponsored by Lucent Technologies. The IEEE Alexander Graham Bell Medal was established in 1976 to honor exceptional contributions to the advancement of communication sciences and engineering. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE Alexander Graham Bell Medal is Dr. Jim K. Omura, Chief Technology Strategist for the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation in San Francisco, California. He receives the award for contributions to the theory of communication systems and the commercial applications of spread spectrum radios and public key cryptography.
As author of over 100 papers, 2 books, and as research director to nearly 24 PhD students, Dr. Omura left an indelible mark on academia. In 1984, he founded Scilink Corporation in Sunnyvale, California, transforming the company into a technical leader in commercial cryptographic systems and spread spectrum radio systems for unlicensed industrial, scientific, and medical frequencies.
This brilliant academic researcher, excellent teacher, and successful entrepreneur, as one former colleague calls him, rose from humble beginnings as a first-generation Japanese American to conduct groundbreaking research on Viterbi decoding at UCLA. This work led another colleague to declare the enormous impact that Viterbi decoding has had on telecommunications is critically dependent on the work of Jim Omura. Dr. Omura's academic triumphs were a prelude to those he would achieve in industry beginning at Cylink in 1984. At its peak, Cylink was the world's largest supplier of commercial encryption hardware. The financial community's SWIFT network, which now transfers trillions of dollars daily, owes its life to Cylink's systems. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Alexander Graham Bell Medal, Dr. Jim Omura.
Well, since early in my career, I've had the privilege of working closely with two of the earlier recipients of this medal, Andy Viterbi and James Massey. I want to thank them, and they've had a tremendous impact on my life. Also, I want to thank another person who won this medal before me, and that's Paul Barron. Most of you know Paul Barron. He's also the fellow who nominated me. Most of the people that know Paul as a inventor of packets and basically the father of the internet. But he's also a successful serial entrepreneur, and I've had the privilege of working with him in a couple of Silicon Valley companies. But most important, he's been a good friend and here to celebrate with me tonight. Thank you, Paul.
Sponsored by AT&T Labs, the IEEE Richard W. Hamming Medal, named for a pioneer in the field of information science, recognizes exceptional contributions to information sciences, systems, and technology. The recipient of the 2005 Richard W. Hamming Medal is Dr. Neal J.A. Sloane, technical leader at AT&T Labs in Florham Park, New Jersey, who receives the award for contributions in coding theory and its applications to communications, computer science, mathematics, and statistics.
Dr. Sloane remains the world's de facto expert in algebraic coding theory and shows no signs of stepping down. His unbounded energy, his great depth and breadth of knowledge, his supreme programming skills, and his instinct for finding the right problems, says one colleague, have made Neal unrivaled in the annals of coding and information theory. Dr. Sloane's books are routinely referred to as the Bibles of their field and classics. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sloane could not be here tonight, but please join me in a round of applause honoring the 2005 recipient of the IEEE Richard W. Hamming Medal, Dr. Neal Sloane.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we pause to enjoy dinner with colleagues, family members, and friends, we have an opportunity to again express our appreciation for all of our recipients and their accomplishments. We will return after dinner to continue the program. Please enjoy your meal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please turn your attention to the video screen. Thank you.
People once believed in a hidden world of magic where unknowable forces controlled nature and shaped human lives. Centuries later, we still live in a world of hidden magic. The almost routine magic of technology. We travel easily and comfortably, over land and sea and through the air. We can reach out to each other instantly, anywhere we go.
This is Bill. I'm sorry I can't come to the phone right now, so leave a message for Cam.
Our world is safer. And our city air is cleaner than any time in the past 50 years. And our ability to diagnose and repair the human body is more advanced than any time in history. Conveniences are all around us.
Your receipt? Yes, please.
Transactions are simpler and more accurate than ever. We conduct business virtually anywhere and can access a world of information in seconds. A generation ago, this world of ours was unimaginable. Today, few of us question it. We've grown accustomed to technological magic. But in fact, this isn't magic. It's the product of imagination and hard work by real people. Engineers, technological artists, tackling unanswered questions, expanding on each other's achievements, passing knowledge and curiosity on to their successors. The evolution of electronics and electrical engineering is a history of giants standing on the shoulders of giants. Yet their contributions go far beyond their disciplines. Indeed, our entire modern world lives upon their shoulders.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome 2005 President and CEO of IEEE, W. Cleon Anderson, and President-elect of IEEE, Michael Leitner.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your meal, and I also hope you enjoyed the promotional clip that we just saw. It represents the beginnings of our very real campaign to get young people involved in engineering and excited about engineering, and this in ever greater numbers. As we make more and more people aware of the artistry behind the technologies they depend on, I believe we will be able to enable more careers in technology. Now, let us return to the task of honoring our best and brightest. Last year was the inaugural year for our next honor, the IEEE Jun-ichi Nishizawa Medal, sponsored by the Federation of Electronic Power Companies Japan and the Semiconductor Research Foundation. The medal is named in honor of Dr. Jun-ichi Nishizawa, known as the father of Japanese microelectronics, and the award is given for outstanding contributions to material and device science and technology, including practical application. The recipient of the 2005 Jun-ichi Nishizawa Medal is Dr. Jerry M. Woodall, the U.S. National Medal of Technology laureate and professor of electrical engineering at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. He receives the award for pioneering contributions to the liquid phase epitaxy in gallium arsenide and aluminum gallium arsenide systems, including applications to photonic and electronic devices.
A recipient of the Eta Kappa Nu Vladimir Karapetov Award, Dr. Woodall invented and pioneered the liquid phase epitaxy of gallium arsenide high-efficiency infrared light-emitting diodes used in remote control and data link applications. The liquid phase epitaxy of gallium aluminum arsenide, the gallium aluminum arsenide gallium arsenide heterojunction, which he used to fabricate super bright red light emitting diodes, high-efficiency solar cells, and the gallium aluminum arsenide heterojunction bipolar transistor used in cellular phones.
When his fellow engineers talk about Jerry Woodall, phrases like unchallenged leader and exquisite synergy between materials science, semiconductor device physics, and real-world applications repeatedly pop up. It is common knowledge that Jerry's work triggered a quantum leap in device applications, shifting them from bulk materials to heterolayers, quantum wells, and superlattices. Jerry was also responsible for the initial design, fabrication, and experimental characterization of the high-efficiency gallium arsenide infrared light-emitting diode. This ubiquitous device allows you to channel surf without leaving your chair, as it is found in the remote control units in nearly every home. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Jerry M. Woodall, the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Jun-ichi Nishizawa Medal. Congratulations.
Well, I guess I should apologize for the remote control thing, but I won't. Let's see. There are nothing written on this thing, but everybody else had one, so I figure I should pull something out too. Okay, so there are just two things I want to accomplish in 90 seconds. The first is that I have a table full of stars that came out to see me get this award, and I want to acknowledge them. First of all is my fiancée, the assistant provost at Purdue University, and her boss, the provost, Sally Mason, and her husband, Ken Mason, the CEO of my little company, which, if it works out, maybe I'll get rich before I die, and Arden Bement, the director of the National Science Foundation, and the person who nominated me, Ben Streetman, bless your heart. You did the right thing, Ben. And Leah Jameson and Bill Kennedy. And I want to thank you all for showing up. It was a great honor that you actually, hey, there's nothing on this prompter, so I want to wing it, I guess. Okay, I want to thank you for showing up, and I want to thank IEEE for doing the right thing. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Most of you folks are from the Silicon days. I grew up with Silicon also, although I did most of my career, in fact all of it, in compound semiconductors. I worked at IBM in the days where you could play in the sandbox, and there was plenty of money coming in from Armonk every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And of course, as we know, things changed over the years. But in that process, my colleague Hans Ruprecht and I were able to make the first meaningful compound semiconductor heterojunction. And before I step down, I want all of you to realize that the compound semiconductor heterojunction has enabled everything you have today. It's enabled a high-speed heterojunction bipolar transistors that are in your cell phone, the power stage. It's enabled the injection laser used in CDs and things like that. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that. And I want you, the take-home message I want you to know is that it's here to stay, and I hope you enjoy it as well as your kids and your grandchildren, because it's not going to go away. Thank you very much.
The IEEE Simon Ramo Medal was established in 1982 to recognize the distinguished career of its namesake. Sponsored by the Northrop Grumman Corporation, it is awarded for exceptional achievement in systems engineering and systems science. The 2005 IEEE Simon Ramo Medal is shared by three distinguished engineers: Doctors Baruch Berman, George A. Gelb, and Neal A. Richardson, who are receiving the award for pioneering conception, design, and demonstration of a practical hybrid automobile powertrain that provides extremely low exhaust emissions and high fuel efficiency.
Doctors Berman, Gelb, and Richardson, retired from TRW, conceived, analyzed, simulated, developed, patented, and demonstrated in an operable automobile a hybrid car system that has proven to provide significantly reduced exhaust emissions, outstanding fuel efficiency, and exceptional performance characteristics.
The practical hybrid automobile is only now making its way onto the market and rapidly becoming all the rage. But Doctors Berman, Gelb, and Richardson were ready to run with it in 1971. A little-known fact, the Beach Boys wrote a song in 1972 called Little Hybrid Coupe, well, which has still not come out. I think they were waiting for us to honor the recipients tonight. More than 30 years ago, these three men recognized the potential for utilizing hybrid technology to realize the benefits of substantial reduction in emissions and improvement in fuel economy. The effective integration of electric drive technology with combustion engine technology is an extremely difficult challenge. A challenge that was much greater at the time of their initial breakthrough 30 years ago, when the level of electronic technology commercially available was far below where it stands today. Certainly some things are worth waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, Neal Richardson could not attend this evening. However, please join me in honoring the recipients of the 2005 IEEE Simon Ramo Medal, Drs. Baruch Berman and George Gelb.
Who's up first? You want to go first? All right. What's this here? Hello. I'm very proud to be here due to the fact that you just heard for 30 years we have been neglected. But it looks like I should quote what my daughter said to me, and you have it in front of you probably in the brochure. This award, along with the growing success of the hybrid vehicle, validate my belief that investing time in this area was worthwhile. It's an idea whose time has come. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mike and Cleon and the Institute for this award. I'd certainly like to share with you the belief that many years ago, a fellow by the name of Robert Bromberg, who's passed by, was our boss, and he continually pressed us to do things that were innovative, and actually wanted us to try and figure out how to avoid the second law of thermodynamics. Well, we haven't been able to do that one, but as a company back in the late 60s that was both in aerospace and automotive, he chided us to look to the future and to see where the world might be. At that time, the country was starting to think about a nasty thing called air pollution. But he chided us to think further and to go beyond that and think about what the world might eventually, the world of transportation might eventually turn out to be. We foresaw a world where, strangely enough, we'd be running out of petroleum. And petroleum might cause geopolitical factors that we might not be able to control throughout the world. So maybe we ought to think about alternative things in the future to propel automobiles. We thought at that time that possibly nuclear power, or maybe even coal, might be good sources of power for the United States. We have them, and we could use them. But how does one make a nuclear power plant portable? A coal mine portable? The obvious way is to stuff it, make it into electricity, and then put it into a car in some form, either a battery or off a roadway. We looked at batteries and found there weren't any, and unfortunately there still aren't any that are satisfactory. So the natural evolution to us was to think about something that would be a stepping stone. The hybrid car seemed to us to be the natural thing. And so we thought about it and came up with what we call the electromechanical transmission. And like Brooke said, we fought it and we demonstrated it, we got it running. And frankly, there were a lot of heartaches. But after that many years, we feel vindicated. In fact, that Toyota and now Ford and several other manufacturers have done an excellent job bringing it to the marketplace and have, in fact, validated the wishes and dreams that we had some 30 years ago. Again, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. The IEEE John Van Neumann Medal is sponsored by the IBM Corporation, and it is named for the famous mathematician who helped set the standards for today's computer architecture. The award is presented for outstanding achievements in computer-related science and technology. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE John von Neumann Medal is Dr. Michael Stonebraker, adjunct professor at MIT's Laboratory for Computer Science and founder and chief technology officer of Stream-Based Systems in Lexington, Massachusetts. He receives the award for contributions to the design, implementation, and commercialization of relational and object relational database systems.
Dr. Stonebraker's contributions to the architectures and implementation strategies have led to the development of today's multi-billion-dollar-a-year database software industry. Virtually all business computing applications manage data using relational database systems that can be traced to his work.
Dr. Stonebraker has an unrivaled 25-year-long string of landmark innovations and contributions to the database field. Together with Dr. Eugene Wong, who we will honor in just a short while, Mike Stonebraker developed the Ingress system. Ingress and the subsequent Postgres, another feather in Mike's cap, demonstrated the feasibility of the relational model and spawned the term object relational systems. His groundbreaking research, contends one of his former colleagues, proposed an architecture, justified the importance of the architectural shift, evangelized the research agenda to create a new field within the database community, and built a successful prototype that he later moved into the commercial world as a product. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring the 2005 recipient of the IEEE John von Neumann Medal, Dr. Michael Stonebraker.
In 1972, a year after we started neglecting the hybrid, as I just found out, I had a big problem. I was an assistant professor in a tenure track position at Berkeley, and neither of the two obvious strategies for getting tenure was going to work. The first one is do more of your thesis stuff. My thesis on theoretical operations research, I had decided, was not only irrelevant, but not very interesting. So that one wasn't going to work. Second strategy is to do what Berkeley had hired me to do. They wanted to see me apply operations research techniques to public systems problems, and I was trying to do just that and finding out that that was really, really hard. So I needed strategy 3, do something else. And I want to thank Gene Wong, who will be up next, for pointing the way to starting to work on relational databases way back then, because it's been a long and very fruitful and very exciting career, and I feel just blessed and honored. I'd also like to acknowledge my wife, Beth, and my 2 children, Leslie and Sandra, who are here tonight, for putting up with me all those years. And I'd also like to thank my colleagues, Mike Brody, Dave DeWitt, and Lance Hoffman, who are also here tonight, for their friendship and support over a lot of years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Stonebraker. Established in 1952 and sponsored by the IEEE Foundation, the IEEE Founders Medal recognizes outstanding contributions in the leadership, planning, and administration of the affairs of great value to the electrical and the electronics engineering profession. In 1995, the medal was redesigned to include the likenesses of Alfred N. Goldsmith, John V. L. Hogan, and Robert Marriott, the 3 founders of the Institute of Radio Engineers, one of the predecessor societies to the IEEE. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE Founders Medal is Dr. Eugene Wong, Professor Emeritus at the University of California, Berkeley. He receives the award for leadership in national and international engineering research and technological policy, and for pioneering contributions in relational databases.
Dr. Wong, together with Mike Stonebraker, co-founded the Ingress Corporation and built it into a major software company with $170 million in annual revenue prior to its sale in 1990. At the U.S. White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, Dr. Wong's work led to the Presidential Initiative on High-Performance Computing and Communications, as well as the High-Performance Computing Act of 1991.
One of Dr. Wong's fellow engineers notes, "For Dr. Wong, mathematics is the lens that brings the world into focus with a clarity that few others achieve. He imbues his students with a deep appreciation for mathematics and its practical applications in the world, and inspires them with his own deeply intuitive understanding of structure. I always found it a pleasure working with Gene," says another one of his colleagues, "because he has the ability to analyze complicated situations quickly and with clarity. He also has the ability to think through these situations and come up with suggestions for immediate action, which in almost every case lead to highly desirable results." We are fortunate to have him here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2005 IEEE Founders Medal, Dr. Eugene Wong.
I'm deeply honored to be awarded the Founders Medal for 2005, because among the previous recipients of the award are some of the giants of our profession, as well as friends and colleagues whom I hold in the highest esteem. To join such a select company, I feel humble indeed. I'm grateful to all those who played a role in my being selected for this singular honor. One of these people, Dave Hodges, is here this evening.
I'd like to acknowledge his presence. Thank you, Dave. In part, as was mentioned in connection with Mike's receipt of the von Neumann Medal, I'm being recognized for the work he and I did 30 years ago on the Ingress project. I feel very nostalgic about the days when we worked on the project that made a true difference. And I'm gratified that it's being doubly honored this evening. Being here in the greater Washington area reminds me of the 5 years that I spent in federal service. It was a wonderfully rewarding experience, as my friend Joe Bordonia can attest. And I think people can be very cynical about the government service. Don't. I know nowhere else where one can make as much of a difference as quickly as in the right roles, right area in government service. So to my younger colleagues who might be considering serving such a tour of duty, I highly recommend it. This has been a wonderfully memorable evening for my family and me, and I want to thank you all for being part of it.
The Medal of Honor. It is IEEE's highest award, and it is sponsored by the IEEE Foundation. It is presented for an exceptional contribution or extraordinary career in the IEEE fields of interest. The recipient of the 2005 IEEE Medal of Honor is Dr. James L. Flanagan, Vice President of Research and Director of the Center for Advanced Information Processing at Rutgers University in Piscataway, New Jersey. He receives this great honor for sustained leadership and outstanding contributions in speech technology. A pioneer in speech analysis, speech transmission, and acoustics, Dr. Flanagan profoundly influenced our understanding of how human beings speak and hear. His research uncovered advanced methods to assist hearing and improve voice communication systems. The electronic, artificial larynx, playback recording, technologies for the visually impaired, and automatic speech recognition to help the motor impaired. Dr. Flanagan's signal coding algorithms feature prominently in telecommunications and voicemail systems, as well as in techniques for automated speech synthesis and recognition that are currently under development. He also pioneered the use of digital computers for acoustic signal processing and created auto-steering microphone arrays for teleconferencing.
Despite the fact that his work has focused almost exclusively on the auditory, it must be said that Jim Flanagan is, and always has been, a visionary. Jim was one of the first to see the potential of speech as a means of communication between man and machine. He approached the concept with Da Vinci-esque inquisitiveness. First, he built extensive models of the basilar membrane of the human ear. His understanding of signal processing within the ear led to the development of advanced hearing aids and improved voice communication systems. Once he'd conquered the human ear, Jim set upon the human voice. He combined what he knew about the ear's ability to analyze and perceive speech with his understanding of the vocal tract's mechanism for producing speech, and the formant vocoder and the phase vocoder were born. Whilst listening and talking to machines for the last 40 years, Dr. Flanagan also influenced a great many human beings, first at Bell Laboratories and then at Rutgers University, where he is today. Says one distinguished colleague, Jim's enthusiasm, integrity, and creativity have been exceedingly important in the personal success of many individuals. Clearly, his leadership is largely responsible for making his former laboratory at AT&T Bell Labs the most influential speech research group in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the recipient of this year's IEEE Medal of Honor, the inimitable Dr. James L. Flanagan.
Thank you indeed, President Anderson and President-elect Leitner. This is truly a singular honor. At a junction such as this, one can't escape a bit of reflection. I've enjoyed two careers, one in the corporate sector and another in academia. They are, of course, vastly disparate, both in mission and method. But for me, there's been an underlying theme in both of them. It's the creation of new knowledge. In the industrial venue, knowledge creation is synonymous with leadership and competitiveness. In the academic world, it impacts the educational preparation of our next generation of young engineers. Between the two, I've been privileged to contribute to knowledge creation for half a century. It's never been a solo job. Over this time, I've been supported by extraordinary colleagues, a number of whom are here tonight. I thank you guys, all of you, and by guys I mean men and women. I also have been supported by my wife Mildred, my three sons, Steve, Jim, and Aubrey, and my brother Marion, all of whom are here tonight. I share this award with all these persons, my family and my distinguished colleagues. I thank IEEE for this sublime honor. I will bear the recognition proudly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flanagan. It has indeed been an honor. Indeed, we have honored giants that have stood on the shoulders of giants. And that concludes our presentation of awards to this exceptional group of people. Thank you all for being a part of this special occasion. You will have an opportunity to personally congratulate each of the recipients in a few minutes. In the meantime, we'll ask that the honorees approach the stage for a group photo. Now, please join me in a final round of applause for our honorees. There is a reception right outside in the conference lobby, and we will be joining you momentarily. Thank you.